With the Modern Pro Tour taking place at MagicCon Barcelona last weekend, the world's eyes were glued to the coverage from Spain as the top players in the world battled for their share of the $500,000 total prize pool. This would be the first Modern Pro Tour in almost 5 years, and the format looked very different this time around, with Modern Horizons 2 and Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth cards dominating the field. In fact, 70% of the spells in the tournament-winning deck list, Rakdos Scam in the hands of Jake Beardsley, consisted exclusively of cards printed in the last 2 years. Additionally, the two most registered cards in the tournament overall were both printed a couple of months ago. The One Ring at 450 copies, and Orcish Bowmasters at 413 copies. For a format as broad and deep as Modern, this is quite shocking, as the cost of a deck in Modern continues to go up, with the winning Rakdos Scam list from last weekend clocking in at just over $1,500 US, and with talk of the One Ring being banned already swirling, the tale being told here regarding power creep is a bleak one, becoming darker every time a direct-to-Modern set is released. What do you think of the state of Modern and its future? Let us know in the comments below. Now with that dark cloud behind us, let's take a look at the aftermath of the constructed portion of the Pro Tour and see which decks performed well and which lists missed the mark. Let's begin with the eventual winning archetype Rakdos Scam, which was the most played deck, making up almost 20% of the field, and was widely considered to be the best deck going into the tournament. It finished with 442 matches played and a 55% win rate, putting it second overall, with its best matchups being Yawgmoth Combo at 73% and Living End at 70%, positive matchups against Dimir Ring Control at 59% and Mono Green Tron at 54%, and a bad matchup against Rhinos at 38% and Mono Red Burn at just 13%. In a surprising twist, the Tron and Living End decks failed to keep Rhinos down during the Swiss portion of the event, which meant 3 copies of Rhinos made it to the top 8. This was bad news for the Rakdos deck, but Beardsley got quite lucky and had to face this bad matchup only once in the quarterfinals, since Mono Green Tron had also landed 3 copies in the top 8, and the Tron decks completely prevented the Rhinos players from reaching the semi-final round. With Rakdos being a powerful deck and difficult to sideboard against effectively, plus having the most copies registered of any deck in the tournament, the only surprise is that there weren't more copies of it in the top 8. Despite not winning the tournament, the best performing deck was Rhinos, the third most played deck, making up almost 11% of the field and finishing up with 215 matches played and a 56% win rate overall, plus putting 3 copies into the top 8. Its stellar results were due to great matchups against Mono Red Burn, 78%, Dimir Ring Control, 73%, and Rakdos Scam, 62%, positive matchups versus Yawgmoth Combo at 60% and 4-color Omnath at 53%, while its worst matchups were Mono Green Tron at 36% and Living End at 33%. Having a great match against the most played deck meant the Rhinos players were perfectly positioned for the Swiss rounds of the tournament, and they were able to capitalize on that and put 3 pilots into the top 8. However, the rest of the top 8 looked bleak for Rhinos, with 3 copies of Mono Green Tron also making it in. With 2 Rhinos players facing one of their worst matchups in the quarterfinals, and the third pilot facing Rakdos Scam in the hands of the eventual tournament winner, it was no surprise that none of the lists made it past the quarterfinals. Mono Green Tron was the weapon of choice for the top pro team in Magic right now, Team Handshake, who put 2 of their members into the top 8 with their take on one of the most powerful yet despised archetypes in Modern. With almost 9% of the field registering Tron, it finished up with 202 matches played and a 54% win rate overall. This was on the back of some amazing matchups against 4-color Omnath at 80%, Dimir Ring Control at 75%, Living End at 75%, and some great matchups against Yawgmoth Combo at 67% and Rhinos at 64%, while having a slightly negative but mostly even matchup against Rakdos Scam at 46%, and a negative match against Mono Red Burn at 22%. Breaking the fundamental rules of the game in half by accelerating to 7 mana on turn 3 is always going to be a powerful thing to do, and this is why we see Tron decks always float in and out of Tier 1 depending on which powerful cards they have to work with at any given time. Currently running 4 copies of the most powerful Planeswalker in Modern, Karn the Great Creator, alongside their broken mana made for an already very potent formula, and all it took was the addition of a powerhouse card, the One Ring, to push it over the top. Giving these decks an incredible source of card advantage that also buys them a turn off against combo and aggro decks was perhaps the last straw, and we may see the backbone of the deck, Karn the Great Creator, be banned in Modern before too long. Making up just 4% of the field, playing just 73 matches but boasting a 49% win rate, is the mono-red burn deck. With very polarizing matchups, had things lined up differently in the Swiss, and some of the red players performed better in the draft portion of the tournament, we would almost certainly have seen mono-red take a spot in the top 8. Rocking a fantastic matchup against Rakdos Scam at 88%, Yawgmoth Combo at 80%, and Mono Green Tron at 78%, a positive match against 4-color Omnath at 56%, and a not-so-great matchup against Rhinos at 22%, and Dimir Ring Control at 14%. All the mono-red burn players had to do was dodge the hasty horned tramplers. Sadly, Rhinos came out in force, and despite lining up very well against 4 of the 5 most played decks in the tournament, the Burn Pilots weren't able to convert that to a top 8 berth. The deck remains an extremely powerful choice, especially since Team Handshake's Mono Green Tron list was the talk of the tournament. However, as the Rhinos deck has proven that it has what it takes to stay on top of Modern, Burn may need to hope that Tron keeps the Rhinos down in order to see success. It will be interesting to see how the metagame will adapt going forward. Will the best Pro Tour performers, Mono Green Tron and Rhinos, be all over the top tables the next few weeks? Will Rakdos Scam continue to be the most played deck? Will Living End or Burn find the metagame conditions just right in order to flourish? We'll keep our thumb on the pulse for you, with one-on-one interviews with some of the top 8 competitors coming soon, here on MTG Insider, so stay tuned.